back to Athletic Street Ballet Evolution. My name is Shane Werthner and I am your host. And today I'm going to be taking you back to a time at the Kirov Academy when I made a decision to participate in an audition without telling my teacher, and what that led to, and some of the lessons that it taught me, but also what that then led to in further lessons down the track in a company when similar things happened, and how that all progressed. So I remember one day, I think I must have been in my last year at the school, and we were looking obviously at that point at auditioning and going into companies and new opportunities and all these different things that were coming at us. 16, 17 years old, a lot of things start to happen in a dancer's life that are very exciting. And I remember one day coming into class, and one of the other boys was telling me about this opportunity the next day to go up to New York and kind of audition with this performance opportunity that was going to be happening in Japan over the summer that would allow us to travel around the world and have these interactions with celebrities and fashion industry and all this stuff. It was a very cool opportunity. But in order to do that, we had to get on a train the next morning and go up to New York and do this audition. And so we did it, and we left really early, but I remember not telling anybody. I remember it being like, hey, we're just going to go and do this, and we'll tell them when we get back, basically, that we went and did it. And the audition didn't end up giving us any outcome. Like we didn't get the job, but I remember it just kind of being this weird, like we were in a studio and it was just me and this other boy, and we were doing this audition, and it was like weird choreography. And then we left, we got back on the train, and we came home. And the next day, our teacher, Anatoly Kucheruk, was very upset with us because we hadn't discussed it with him. We hadn't gone to him and had this conversation with him of, look, there's this opportunity, potentially, is it worthwhile? Like, what do you think? What's the rub? Do you think it's worthwhile going and doing this, or do you think we should just not even waste our time? And he was hurt, I think, because we didn't ask. We didn't. After so many years of being with him, I mean, at this point it had been almost 6 years of training with him, day in, day out. I think he saw us almost like his children. Like we had this close bond. He trusted us, we trusted him. And to not come to him with something like that, I think he felt a little bit betrayed, because he had worked very hard to get us opportunities to go overseas. We'd already basically had opportunity and a contract offer from the Vienna State Opera, and it was this situation where I think he felt hurt that we didn't ask and didn't connect with him to see what the next step was going to be. And that was an important lesson, because oftentimes, I think there's this fear that we have as artists that, if we don't take the opportunity immediately and we don't say yes immediately, that maybe the opportunity won't come back. And so these offers are made kind of behind closed doors sometimes. And you don't always have the potential to reach out to the people that have supported you, or that have been your close contact, your teacher, your mentor for those so many years. In this case, obviously we didn't have the time to do that, but I think we probably should have had that conversation first, because he probably would have said, look, boys, what's the point? Why would you go and do this when you already have offers elsewhere? Like you're going to Vienna, you have a contract, there's no reason to go and do this tour overseas. You don't need to miss class to do that. You don't need to go and do something arbitrary for experience in this case, because you have the next step ahead of you. You have that there ready for you. And I think the lesson that both of us learned was that we need to have the discussion with the people that support us to have their guidance. Like if they're there to support us, like why would we run away? Why would we not reach out to them to help us through that process? So I think he was a bit, obviously disappointed and upset by the fact that we didn't reach out to him and have that conversation. Now, it didn't ruin our relationship. He still very much supported us, and we ended up, all going to Helsinki that summer and competing, and he coached us through that process. And there was a lot of really great stuff that came out of my time with Anatoly Kucheruk. And I even made a post today about how, as dancers, we need to find those people that support us, and we need to stick to those people. We need to be really consistent with those people, because they are the ones who are putting in the work day in, day out. They see us, they see the effort that we're putting in. They know our injuries, they know our struggles, and they know our highs and our lows. They know what needs to be done. Whereas if you just flit off to a different coach somewhere, you go to work with somebody else that doesn't know you, they're going to give you their best work, but they don't know what your background is. They don't know why maybe you're working in a certain way, or doing a certain arm movement, or doing a certain head coordination. They don't know why you have specific choreography or specific musicality that you're working with. And so they're going to give you their best, but it may not be what you need in that moment. And if you get so many different inputs into your life that you don't know which one is the correct one, it just muddies and makes things confused, and challenges the consistency that we actually need in order to get better, in order to improve. Now this leads me to another story, actually, where I was in Vienna. I was 22, and I was preparing for Swan Lake. Now this was a slightly similar situation, and it was something that when it happened, I felt bad about it, but it was not something that I felt like I could really talk about or change. We were rehearsing. I was rehearsing for The Prince, and I had been very specifically rehearsing with one of the ballet masters the entire time. Now, my partner wanted to do a run with the Swans. She wanted to try to put the White Swan act together already before we really were ready for it. And she wanted me to come in and be her partner. Now, naively, I said, "Yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's try." I didn't really even think about it. And I remember the ballet master that we had been working with got very upset by this, and it was very similar in feeling to what had happened in school with not talking to those who are supporting us, not talking to those who are helping us to get better. Where he felt betrayed by the fact, first of all, that he wasn't in the room to help, but also, as a young dancer, at what was I, 22, when you are progressing from quarter ballet to semi-soloist kind of rank into that more soloist space, it's a very delicate, very precarious time, because other dancers are looking at you, ballet masters are looking at you, directors are looking at you, and they're watching to see how you handle it. There's a lot of criticism that goes on potentially behind your back from other dancers, where they're looking at you and saying, "Hey, look, this guy, yeah, what does he think he is? He's not good enough. He doesn't have the skills yet to be doing that. He shouldn't be in that room. Why am I not doing that?" Or even just from the perspective of like you're not ready for that opportunity yet. And so when you're put into a situation where the rehearsal hasn't been done to prepare you for it, and the people who have been supporting you and trying to make sure that when you're presented, that you are presented in your best light, are kept out of a decision, then it just looks bad across the board. And he was pretty upset with me. And I said to him, "Look, it was not my intention, obviously, to upset you." And I think he was very angry by the fact that I didn't talk to him before. But it was one of those last minute situations where I felt like, well, my partner really wants to do this. What do? I guess I'll just go in and do the rehearsal. Now, the rehearsal wasn't great, and potentially it could have ended up with me being looked at as not being ready for the role. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Thankfully, I ended up getting to dance, and the performance went well. But it was again one of those lessons in life where you realize I need to communicate what it is that is happening, and I need to ask those people again who are my mentors, who are supporting me. Now, this is one of those kind of unspoken rules where, like, if somebody's rehearsing you, don't go in and rehearse with someone else. Don't suddenly jump to another room and grab some other coach. Don't suddenly jump to outside of the company or outside of your school and start working with a bunch of other people, unless really you're not getting what you need to progress, right? Because when they find out, it's almost like having an affair. It's almost like they feel like, well, why have I been putting in this work? If you're going to go off and get 100 different inputs onto what you're doing, why am I then putting in the work to help you when you're not going to take it anyway? It's almost disrespectful to the work that the coach or the teacher has been putting into your time. And so it's just something to be aware of. I think obviously in this day and age, there's a little bit of a celebrity element to some of the coaches online. And look, I can't say that I am completely innocent in this. I think there are plenty of people that have worked with me that also work with other coaches, and there is a business in it as well. Like we are teachers, we're coaches, we are in the business of helping and coaching dancers. And so if somebody reaches out to me and wants to work with me, obviously I'm going to work with that person. I think what is more important is that as the dancer, and even parents now looking at their children getting coaching, it's important to trust the person you're working with. If you are enrolled in a school and you are working with a coach and you're working with a teacher, it's important to trust that person. And have discussions with them. If you feel like you're not getting what you need, you got to speak up for yourselves. I know I've talked about this as well, but you have to speak up, and you have to go to the people that are there to support you, to let them know that you don't feel like you're getting supported. And then look, if they say, oh, I can't do anything more for you, I do what we do and that's it, then of course, look to find what it is that you need. Oftentimes, when working with dancers on choreography, and repertoire for competitions, if they've got 10 different inputs, when it gets on stage, it's going to be muddy. It's not going to have the clarity that it needs in the performance, because there are so many different conflicting little bits of information. And even if the teachers are trying to say the same thing, they're not saying it in the same way. And so the student may interpret it differently. They may understand it differently to somebody else. And so, I often hear from parents like, isn't it good to be exposed to more information? Isn't it good to be exposed to different types of coaches and different types of teachers? Yes, but not all the time. I think there's a place for that. Summer schools are great for that opportunity, where potentially you go to another school to learn or to network or to grow in that perspective. But you don't want to have 7 different teachers all the time, because those teachers may have very conflicting ideas. They may have a different idea of how to do a fouette, or they may have a different idea of how to prepare for pirouettes. And so you go off and you do a class with somebody, and then you come back to your regular teacher, and all of a sudden they're confused as to why you're suddenly doing things differently, or you're not following the instructions. Because what we also have to understand is that when a teacher gives a correction, and they continue to work with you over an extended period of time, especially if they are like your main teacher, which hopefully, it would be ideal that as a student you have one predominant coach. That if they are your main teacher, they have a plan for you. They may have a reason why they're asking you to do something specific that when you go to see another teacher, that teacher doesn't understand the reason for that. And so they correct it in the way that they would do it. And then you go back to your original teacher, and suddenly everything that you had worked on with that person is no longer being worked on. Like you've gone in a completely different direction, and there's confusion, there's misunderstanding, and potentially if they figure it out, there's going to be a feeling of betrayal or like you're stepping out on that coach. So, what is the solution here? Because obviously we want to get the best for everybody. We want to learn from as many people as possible to broaden our horizons, right? Like that's something that I often hear is like, I want to broaden my horizons. I want to experience as much as I can. I think there's a time for that. I think as you progress into your dance career, from student to professional, you're going to get the opportunity to work with different coaches. You're going to get the opportunity to have different choreographers come in who will give you different understanding of movement and experiences. And I think even in a student perspective, if you're working on different dance styles, so if you have one coach for ballet, one coach for contemporary, one coach for tap, that's something completely different, because each of them are giving you a different level of understanding of different types of dance. But if you have one coach for your ballet classes every day, and then you've got 4 different people that you're going to see for private lessons, because one person you like the way they teach you turns, and one person you like the way they teach you adagio, and then one person is doing something else, that doesn't always end up with the best benefit. And oftentimes I just see that kids who are always going out to work with so many different people either end up burnt out or confused. And so it is important that we find a team of people who can help us in different disciplines. Like if for example, in my case, I'm also a strength coach. If someone is wanting to come to me for strength, great. If someone does want to come to me for some ballet refinement, but I think something that I also will do out of respect to the teacher that that person works with is I will say, like, how does your teacher ask you to do this? Is there a specific head that they've asked for? Is there a specific way that they want that movement done? And I will generally not change stylization. So if there's something that a teacher is asking for and they want it done that way, I'm not going to change it. What I will do is I'll clean up dynamics. I'll make sure the turnout is in the right place. I'll make sure that basic movement patterns are in the right place, because that really is all that needs to be corrected when you are getting consistent training. Is the little things. So look, at the end of the day, everyone is going to do what they want to do. We can't stop that. And I think there are a lot of businesses now that revolve around private coaching because there's just not enough time necessarily in the dance studio to get all the information that we need. I think first and foremost, I would go to your predominant coach, the one that you work with day in, day out, and I would talk to them if you feel like you're not getting what you need. Potentially they will work with you more individually as well. And then if you feel like you need to go and work with somebody, identify why, and then figure out how that person is going to best support you. I think something that I also wish is that more students would come to me with a specific goal in mind so that I can help them with that. I think having that information of what it is that they're trying to improve is going to help make whatever time they spend with me more beneficial as well. So there we go. That's the chat for today. I think, learn how to ask those people that support you for support if you feel like you're not getting it. Understand that it is important to have those discussions with your teachers, and when opportunities arise that may result in your coach feeling like you are not valuing their support, make sure you reach out to that coach and be like, hey, look, I have this opportunity. What do you think I should do? Because more often than not, they want to be your mentor. They want to support you. They want to guide you, and they want to help you through that process. So follow through with that, guys. And don't ever think that having that discussion will result in a negative outcome. If it does, then obviously you've learned something about that coach as well. You've learned that they're not interested in getting you the best, right? So have discussions that will be beneficial. Understand that if it does end up not supporting you, then obviously that support was not meant to be there. But trust the people that you work with, trust your team, find your best team that is going to help you get where you want to go, and your time will come. And that's all I have to say for today. Have an awesome day, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Athletistry Ballet Evolution. In order to grow this show, guys, I'm not running ads. I'm not trying to put this out there in any type of artificial way. I really want this to be a grassroots movement where people are sharing because they feel like they're getting something out of it. So if you have learned something today, if you feel like this has helped you to understand the ballet world a little bit better, if you think that this is going to help and evolve your training and your understanding and even your support system in the future, then definitely share this with others so that they can get the same guidance, the same support, and can evolve as well. Thanks for listening, guys. On the next time.